Hello everyone, my name is Clantis and welcome to my YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So Zandile Khumalo continues her testimony in court today, and it did not, well, it still did not look good. Absolutely, I was not convinced. However, though, I was convinced about one part of her testimony, and I really felt for her. But I feel like that moment was the real moment for her, Senzo, and Kelly Khumalo, and everyone else that was in the vehicle as they were driving to the hospital. So that emotional scene that we saw in court may be scripted, but at the same time, I feel it was authentic because the last moments of a human being are real. It doesn't matter what the scenario was before, what is now happening to that individual as they breathe their last breath on earth. So I felt like, oh my goodness, this one is pretty touching for me. But at the same time, what is the truth to what is now happening to Senzo Meyiwa? Because everything else that I keep hearing in the doc, on the stand, I'm sorry, I do not believe it. This is a script, and then she's following the script. We know that the Khumalo family, they are entertainers, and we all know entertainers, they have a tendency of knowing how to twist the truth, become like charlatans. Of course, acting is charlatanism. And so I felt like, okay, now that you are in the vehicle, Senzo Meyiwa is taking his last breath. You are busy talking to him all the way to the hospital. You are seeing that his eyes are flipping backwards because you are now realizing, oh my goodness, this guy could die at any given time, and now you want to keep him awake. Of course, this is the stuff that we see in movies where the family member or a friend or whoever of the person that was shot or stabbed, they say, no, keep your eyes open, keep your eyes, look at me, keep your eyes, focus on me, don't close your eyes until we get to the hospital. That's how it sounded like to me. I'm not quite sure how real that in life. I don't think it is real in life. When a person is dying, the person is dying. And I don't think they have any control over what happens to their bodies. The only thing that they are hoping is that you, who is not injured, is busy making sure that they do not lose their life, meaning that you are pressing on the wound, making sure that they don't lose blood profusely until they bleed out to death. And secondly, probably if a person that is an expert in removing bullets, maybe that's what you're probably busy doing, trying to ensure that this bullet does not touch vital organs that might end the person's life. But them being in control, I really doubt it, especially when your organs are starting to shut down. I'm talking about vital organs are starting to shut down. There is nothing they can do. No matter what you say to them, they are also focused on the pain. They are also focused probably on fighting, not to feel the pain. And probably they're also busy accepting that this is the end. And I have to accept right now. So I felt that Zandi's testimony there was quite authentic. The tears, I think they were authentic. But I felt that the tears that she was crying is a mixture of many things. Number one, oh my goodness, why did we have this stupid party? Secondly, why was that a fight that ended with Senzo being shot? Number three, whatever it is that was happening in her head, she knew that this is probably the end of her own freedom and life if it came out who the perpetrator that shot and killed Senzo Meyiwa. So there's a lot of things probably that were going through her mind, and also it made her cry because she remembered that very moment. Not only was she thinking about Senzo, but she was also thinking about her own life flashing right before her eyes while alive. So it was a lot of things that was going on in that testimony. Another thing that I also paid attention to, this time around I decided that I'm just going to listen to the vital parts that I think did not make sense, or some parts where I felt like, wait, what's going on now at this point? because I'm a little bit confused. But then, of course, rubbing my two IQs together, I then came to a conclusion that, okay, at this point, this is what is happening. And let me tell you where that is. This is when Kelly Khumalo, the mother, Zandile, Mtogo, Tumelo, and all these other guys were being summoned to the police station. The first one that I took note of is the identity of the identity parade. She said they were called to identify the two shooters, if she could identify who is one of the shooters. And of course, they were taken to okay, let me read, because I did write notes on that. She was told to say whatever she sees. That's what she says. So when she gets to the police station, they are taken to that room where it has a glass. I think it's a one-way glass. The intruders or the criminals can't see the person that's identifying them, but the person that is identifying them can see through the glass who the people that they can identify. So the first thing she says is that she was told to say whatever she sees. And then secondly, when she looked through the glass, she saw one that resembled the guy with dreadlocks. She mentions that he has dreadlocks, he has contour on his faces that are similar to the intruder that came into the house and shot Senzo Meyiwa. So during the identity parade, she did ask the officer to bring them a little bit closer because they were a bit of a distance. She could not see them properly. So of course they were asked to come forward. So they were asked to come forward, and when they came forward, she looked once again and she zoomed in on number 2, the guy with dreadlocks and contour lines that looks similar to the guy that was in the house with a gun, basically that shot Senzo Meyiwa. And she was certain that it looks like him, but it's not him. Even though when she walked out of the identity room, it still played in her head, and she was convinced that that's not him. And so that was the end. Then the second thing that I took note of her testimony is that when they were taken to Pretoria, so she gets a call, told that she needs to go with officers to the police station. So as they go to the police station, they drive for a long time, but she sees that they're going towards Pretoria, where they ended up in Pretoria in the city, where they were taken to separate rooms, she and Longwe, and they were interrogated. And so they, I guess she said they needed more information on their statement. So before they left at the Pretoria police station, they were asked to leave behind their cell phones as they needed data in the cell phone, not the minutes and the bundles. I'm talking about the information in the phone, because they needed to trace back to the day Senzo Meyiwa was murdered. In my mind, I'm thinking, after how many years? Because I needed a timeline at this point. In the same 2014, in 2015, 2016, when was that? Because at the end of the day, people don't carry the same cell phone more than 2 years. So what exactly is she talking about at this point? I wanted clarity, and I was hoping that the prosecutor was also going to ask or maybe get some clarification as to whether you still had the same cell phone you had the day Senzo Meyiwa was killed, but maybe he did. I didn't hear it. She continues to say in my notes, she said that the police did not explain much about why they wanted their cell phones, except to say they needed to check their phone data as part of the investigations. Okay, is it the same phone? That's my question. She said that after handing over their cell phones, this is when they went home. Basically, the police just left them there. They found their way back home. I found that very rude. Then we go to 2018. She says that in 2018 February, the police summoned them again for additional statements. This was at Vosloorus police station. There in the police station, herself, Kelly Khumalo, the mother, Mtogo, Tumelo, and all that crew were summoned to Vosloorus police station to give additional statements. This is 2018, so that is what, almost 4 years after the murder. She says that once again they were put in separate rooms. She said that the police once again interrogated them all the way till 9 p.m. I'm not quite sure what time they arrived. But we know that the interrogation ended at 9 p.m. Again, I was hoping that the prosecutor was going to ask, what time did you arrive? Or what time do you think you arrived? And then, okay, And what were the questions that were being asked of you? Okay, maybe he has the statement of that interrogation before him, so there was no need for him to interrogate her further. I don't know, but to me, I had more questions. Then she says that not long after the interrogation, they were once again summoned by the police for a lie detector test. There, I was like, wait a minute, a lie detector test in South Africa? In a constitutional democracy? A lie detector test results admissible in court in South Africa? I don't think so. So at this point, I'm starting to ask myself, wait a minute. What time was this in the year? Because the Foslera's interrogation was around February 2018. And she says not long after that, probably let's say June, July, they are called again for another interrogation, but this time it's a lie detector test. And so if I'm thinking, or my mind serves me correctly, at that time, Fikile Mbalula was the Minister of Police. He is the one that started promising South Africans that by Christmas, the killers of Senzo Mayo would have been arrested and they'll be handed over for prosecution. So at this point, I'm thinking, lie detector test, now this is intimidation tactics by the police. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wait a minute, why would the police be intimidating the 7? Clearly, they suspect that the killer is amongst the 7. This intruder story does not exist. And let me prove my point, what I mean by that, because it gets crazier. The police become more dodgier by the day when it comes to how they were investigating this matter. So these were my notes when I heard about the lie detector test. I was like, what? Wait, a lie detector test in South Africa? Is it even admissible in court, considering its reputation and not a vital tool to use in democratic dispensation? Why do I feel this has become an intimidation tactic by the police? Those were my notes when I heard about the lie detector test. Because, of course, they are hoping that these guys do not know that lie detector test in South Africa plays no role in evidence. So this is the craziest part for me. You know that once you get a lie detector test, you need to also be given the results, whether you are being truthful, deceitful, or you are lying or inconclusive. I think that's how the lie detector test works. But she was not given the results. And then my question was like, wait a minute, but then shouldn't you have asked for the results? Did I lie? Was the lie detector test proved me correct that I did not lie? I would ask questions. So it's clear that this is a scare tactic that is aimed at the 7. That is why they had these tools that are undemocratic in our country. And then this is my notes again. I say again, this was an intimidation exercise. They wanted a confession out of them. Bekicele had promised South Africans that by Christmas, the killer would be found. And I'm certain that they suspected the 7. I'm still convinced that the police, to this very day, they are convinced that the killer is amongst the 7, but they don't know who. And I don't think they have what's the word that I'm looking for? They don't have a way of trying to abstract that truth from the 7. They're inept. Then she continues to say that the following year, this is now 2019, but again, she's a little bit confused whether it's 2019 or 2020. They get summoned again by the police, this time for role playing. Okay, in my mind, I'm thinking, no, at this point in time, the police are really obfuscating. They are grasping at straws. They are trying to get something that has been lost a long time ago. Where is the evidence? When they walked into the crime scene that day that Senzo Mayo was shot, where is the evidence that is going to be proving who killed Senzo Mayo? Let's look at forensics, the different kinds of shoes or shoe prints that were found on the tiles of the house, if the house had tiles. Fingerprints. Because apparently when the person opened the kitchen door, obviously they held it with their hands. Because the Zandile Khumalo doesn't mention anything about the intruders wearing gloves. She doesn't say that. So that means they touched the handles with their raw hands. So why there are no fingerprints? What do you call these bullet shells? Test them. What were the results? I know that they cannot find the murder weapon, but at least they should be able to say, oh, it's a 9 caliber or 9mm caliber. I don't know anything about guns because I don't care about them, but something of that nature. Oh, by the way, the role play took place at her home in Vosloorus because they needed to replay that entire night. And so she needed to imagine who's standing there, who's sitting here, and all that stuff before the intruders walked into the house. So she says then after that, things went quiet. So I'm supposing this is the time where we had like hardcore lockdown because of Kovovo. And as a result of that, things went quiet. She moved to Durban, I suppose, to live with her husband and things like that. But there were no charges that were preferred against her or against any of the 7 that she's aware of. Here, I must say that I gave her some kind of props as well when they asked her about the Netflix documentary. She said she was asked about the Netflix documentary, if she was aware of it. She said yes, she is aware of it, and that she was approached several times by Netflix to be part of the Senzo Meyiwa documentary, but she says that she refused, and she refused them all the time. I felt, okay, let's give her respect for that, because this would have been absolutely wrong of her to profit out of the death of Senzo Meyiwa while we are still trying to find the truth. So for that one, I give it to her respect. But where now she lost me again is when she started giving interviews to radio stations, televisions, and she tells the court that she has no control over the interview questions that are conducted on her, but she can answer whatever she can. And I remember at this point she was going on a rampage about the defense lawyer, I think in Shololo, the defense lawyer, and she was just going on and on about things that she shouldn't be talking about. I'm not quite sure if she had a lawyer and why her lawyer did not tell her that, listen, when you are before the media, there is a principle of sub judice, meaning that you cannot speak about a matter that is already in court because you are probably violating the court rules. So she went ahead and talked about it. Even if you look at the prosecutor's face, he was really concerned that you actually gave interviews regarding this matter. So she says she has no control over what questions she's asked. But then I felt that she should have been legally advised that she should not answer questions that are related to this matter, because it might jeopardize her own freedom. Because you know how it goes, though your words can be used against you in the court of law. That is why you need to take silence. You have to be silent. I think in the US it's called Fifth Amendment, where you just decide, you know what, I don't want to talk about this, please, I have no comment. But she was freely talking about that, including making a mockery out of Mshololo. So those were my thoughts when I was watching the trial. Of course, not Kelly Khumalo. Why do I keep saying Kelly Khumalo? Zandile Khumalo concluded her testimony, and then a second witness was to take the stand. Unfortunately, we heard that that particular witness fell ill, and as a result, the hearing were postponed. So those were my thoughts about the trial today, with Zandi on the stand testifying as to what happened on the night Senzo Meyiwa was murdered. Of course, I'm very interested to hear the next witness, the one that fell ill, what is on their mind. So anyways, guys, if you like the video, give it a like. If you didn't like the video, give it a like. Anyway, do subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to click the bell notification so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Do share this video far and wide, and don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know what you thought about Zandi's testimony. Do you believe her? Do you think she was authentic when she was crying about Senzo Meyiwa's last moments on earth? I felt for her, I must be honest with that one. And also, my super thanks are turned on. Please do watch the ads. I appreciate those of you that are watching. And let me see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.